Mercedes may have just exposed the biggest threat to its own driver lineup. Leaked photographs show Toto Wolff and Max Verstappen together in the same Mediterranean setting for the second consecutive summer, exactly as Verstappen's reported Red Bull exit clause became active. And the timing could not be more dangerous. Mercedes has won 8 of the first 11 races. Kimi Antonelli leads George Russell by 59 points. Verstappen sits more than 100 points behind and is already out of the title fight. Then Wolff delivered a brutal warning. If the Mercedes rivalry turns toxic, he says he will remove a driver. Mercedes insists the Verstappen relationship is only friendly, and both current drivers are reportedly confirmed for 2027. But these leaked images have created one terrifying possibility. If Russell or Antonelli gives Wolff a reason to act, the most dangerous replacement in Formula One may already be standing beside him. And the hidden meaning behind that meeting could change the entire driver market. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why these photographs create such a serious problem for Mercedes, you have to look at the pressure already building inside the team. Mercedes is not struggling. It is winning. The team has taken 8 victories from the first 11 races of the new regulations era. Kimi Antonelli leads the Drivers' Championship. George Russell remains one of the most experienced and respected drivers on the grid. And that should make the situation simple. But success creates its own danger. Because when 2 drivers share the fastest car, only one can become world champion. At first, the rivalry can look healthy. One driver wins. The other responds. One takes pole position. The other steadies the data and comes back stronger. The team celebrates both results. But as the championship tightens, every decision becomes personal. A pit stop can feel unfair. A team order can feel like betrayal. A small contact can become the beginning of a much larger conflict. And Toto Wolff has already made it clear that he will not allow that conflict to destroy Mercedes. His warning was direct. If the rivalry turns toxic, he says he will remove a driver. That statement matters because Wolff is not speaking from weakness. He is speaking from the strongest position in Formula One. Mercedes already has the performance. It already has 2 elite drivers. It already controls the championship. So when Wolff says one of them can be removed, he is sending a message. The team is bigger than any individual. Not Russell. Not Antonelli. And possibly not even a world champion. But the Verstappen photographs make that warning feel much more dangerous. Without Max in the background, removing a driver would create another problem. Mercedes would need a replacement. It would need someone capable of winning immediately. Someone strong enough to handle the pressure. Someone fast enough to justify changing a successful lineup. Verstappen fits that description better than almost anyone. That does not prove Mercedes is preparing to sign him. The available source does not confirm a contract offer. It does not confirm a secret negotiation. And it does not prove either Mercedes driver is about to lose his seat. But the relationship already exists. Wolff and Verstappen have been photographed in the same holiday setting for 2 consecutive summers. That alone keeps the possibility alive. And in Formula One, a believable possibility can be almost as powerful as a signed agreement. It creates pressure before anything happens. Russell now knows every difficult weekend will be judged against Antonelli, but it may also be judged against Verstappen. Antonelli knows leading the championship protects him. But Wolff's warning was not about which driver is slower. It was about which driver damages the team. That means neither driver is completely safe if the rivalry becomes destructive. And this is where the hidden footage changes the psychology inside Mercedes. Imagine competing for the biggest prize of your career while knowing your team principal is close to the strongest possible replacement. Nobody has to say anything. The image does the work. Every mistake feels heavier. Every disagreement feels more dangerous. Every radio message becomes something the team may remember later. That can force discipline. It can also create fear. And fear is difficult to manage inside a title fight. George Russell is already under pressure because Antonelli leads him by 59 points. That gap is significant. But it does not tell the entire story. Wolff defended Russell by explaining that several problems had affected his season. Russell led in Montreal before retiring. Mercedes later discovered an engine issue worth around 0.2 of a second. He also faced a drive-through penalty in Monaco. Then came a difficult opening lap incident in Belgium. At Hungary, his car triggered the anti-stall system at the start. He recovered but finished 7th. Those details matter. Russell's difficult position has not come from one simple failure. Some of the damage has come from reliability. Some has come from incidents. Some has come from weekends where Antonelli was simply stronger. Wolff still believes Russell can recover. He called him tough. He said the best drivers know how to turn things around. But belief does not remove the pressure. Russell entered the season with more experience. He was expected to be ready for a championship fight immediately. Antonelli was still the younger driver developing under the new rules. Now Antonelli leads. And every race that lead remains intact changes the balance inside Mercedes. The future starts looking younger. The experienced driver starts looking vulnerable. That does not mean Russell is finished. It means the margin for error becomes smaller. He cannot afford a collapse. He cannot afford to let frustration damage the team. And he cannot afford to give Wolff a reason to believe Verstappen would bring more control. But Antonelli faces a different danger. He may lead the championship. He may have the stronger momentum. He may appear to be Mercedes' long-term future. But leading creates its own pressure. Now he has something to protect. A points advantage. A reputation. A possible world championship. And when a young driver begins protecting a lead, every decision becomes more complicated. Should he attack Russell? Should he avoid contact? Should he accept a team order? Should he risk losing points to defend his position? There is no easy answer. Because he must race aggressively enough to win the title. But not so aggressively that Wolff believes the rivalry is becoming destructive. That line is difficult to see. Wolff has not publicly defined every possible violation. He has not explained what happens after a collision. He has not said whether refusing a team order would be enough. He has not described how much public criticism he would tolerate. So both drivers enter the second half of the season knowing the threat exists without knowing exactly when it becomes real. And Verstappen sits in the background of that uncertainty. That is what makes these photographs so effective. They do not need to reveal a contract. They only need to remind everyone that Wolff has another relationship available. A relationship with a driver whose own future is suddenly uncertain. Verstappen's reported Red Bull exit clause became active at the summer break. He sits 6th in the championship. He is more than 100 points behind Antonelli. And according to the source, he is mathematically out of the title fight. That changes his position completely. He is no longer deciding whether to leave a dominant Red Bull. He may be deciding whether Red Bull can recover before the most important years of his career pass. That question gives Mercedes power. Mercedes has the car. It has the wins. It has the championship lead. And it has a team principal who already knows Verstappen personally. Red Bull, meanwhile, reportedly wants Verstappen to sign a new deal running to 2029. And that proposal would remove the performance clause. In simple terms, Red Bull wants to close the escape route. But Verstappen has no reason to rush. According to the source, he has until October to decide. That gives him time to study everything. He can watch Red Bull's progress. He can watch Mercedes' dominance. He can watch Russell's recovery. He can watch Antonelli's title campaign. And he can watch whether Wolff's warning ever becomes necessary. That is why the timing of the leaked images matters so much. They appear during a period when every side is measuring its options. Red Bull wants commitment. Mercedes wants control. Russell wants recovery. Antonelli wants the championship. Verstappen wants evidence. And Wolff wants to make sure the strongest team in Formula One is never held hostage by its own drivers. The photographs create pressure on all 5 sides at once. But there is another meeting that makes Verstappen's future even harder to dismiss. Before the Wolff holiday images appeared, Verstappen's father, Jos, and his manager, Raymond Vermeulen, were photographed meeting former Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko in Amsterdam. Dutch media described it as a crisis summit. That meeting does not prove Verstappen is leaving. It does not prove Mercedes was discussed. And it does not prove Marko advised him to activate the clause. But Marko's role in Verstappen's career gives the meeting weight. He helped bring Max into Formula One as a teenager. He understands the relationship between Verstappen and Red Bull. And according to the source, he remains in close contact with the Verstappen camp. That means the people closest to Max are still discussing something serious during the most important contract period of the season. And the wording from Verstappen's manager leaves the door open. He said Max wants to finish his time with Red Bull. That sounds reassuring. But he also said the performance clause has existed before and was not used. He did not say it could never be used. That difference is small in language. It is enormous in meaning. Wanting to stay is not the same as guaranteeing it. A driver can prefer loyalty. He can still choose performance. He can want Red Bull to recover. He can still leave if the evidence says it will not. And Mercedes is currently producing the strongest evidence on the grid. 8 wins from 11 races. The championship leader, a 59-point gap between teammates. A car thriving under the new regulations. That is exactly the kind of project Verstappen would have to notice. But Mercedes also has a problem. There is no confirmed empty seat. Russell and Antonelli are reportedly secured for 2027. Russell is already on a multi-year deal. So for Verstappen to arrive soon, something would need to change. A contract would have to move. A driver would have to leave. The internal rivalry would have to become unmanageable. Or Mercedes would have to plan beyond the immediate season. The source does not confirm which path exists. It may be that none exists right now. But Wolff's warning proves he is willing to act if the team is damaged. That is enough to keep the possibility alive. And this is where Mercedes' hidden problem becomes clear. The team may benefit from the Verstappen speculation. It gives Wolff leverage. It keeps Russell and Antonelli alert. It pressures Red Bull. It preserves a relationship with the strongest possible future option. But the same speculation can destabilize Mercedes. Russell may feel less secure. Antonelli may wonder how much one mistake could cost. The garage may begin interpreting every disagreement through the Verstappen story. And once uncertainty enters a successful team, it can spread quickly. A dominant team needs confidence. It needs clear roles. It needs drivers who believe the rules are stable. But the leaked images create the opposite. They create ambiguity. Nobody knows whether Wolff is simply spending time with a friend. Nobody knows whether he is protecting a future option. Nobody knows whether Verstappen is using the relationship to pressure Red Bull. And nobody knows whether one Mercedes seat could become available if the title fight turns ugly. That uncertainty may be useful today. It could become dangerous later. Because if Russell and Antonelli collide, the story will not only be about lost points. It will immediately become a question about Verstappen. If Russell's difficult run continues, the photographs will be examined again. If Antonelli ignores a team instruction, Wolff's warning will return. And if Verstappen rejects Red Bull's new offer, every image from that holiday will suddenly look less innocent. That is why Mercedes cannot fully control what these photographs mean. It can explain the relationship. It can confirm its current drivers. It can deny secret negotiations. But it cannot stop the possibility from growing. The results will decide whether the story fades or explodes. If Russell recovers, Mercedes remains stable. If Antonelli wins the title without conflict, the current lineup becomes almost impossible to challenge. If Red Bull improves, Verstappen may decide the safest future is still where he is. But if the Mercedes rivalry becomes toxic, if Red Bull continues to fall behind, and if Verstappen refuses to remove his exit clause, then the hidden footage will no longer look like a harmless holiday moment. It will look like the first visible sign of a plan that was waiting for the right crisis. And that is the real danger for Mercedes. Not that Verstappen has already taken a seat.